Well, hi, and you are?
I'm City Councilman Dale Francisco, running for re-election this year.
Nice to see you, Dale.
Good to see you, Larry.
What are we talking about today?
Well, here at City Hall, I just got out of a meeting. I'm on the Solid Waste Subcommittee, ad hoc committee, to talk about who's going to be our next trash hauler for one half of the city. But if you're on City Council, you do lots of things. And one thing I'd like to talk about today is the budget. This handy chart here shows a very interesting progression over time. This yellow bar shows the amount of fiscal reserves we had for the general fund. That's our rainy day fund, the money that we use in case there's an economic downturn to shore up city services. And as you can see, we had revenue increasing until the year 2008. That's when the recession really hit Santa Barbara and we started heading downhill. Unfortunately, our reserve fund was being used at the same time, and here in 2008 you can see it was diminished almost to nothing. I'm happy to say that since that time, that was the first year I was on council. I'm not saying that I personally did this. This is the result of a lot of hard work by city staff and council. We've been slowly increasing the reserves, and this year we're starting to see an increase in sales tax and other revenues. And I'm also very happy to say that because of the hard work of a lot of people at the city, we actually came in $2 million under budget this year. So that money will also be going back into the reserves. So we're in a healthier financial position than we've been for a while.
Dale, what does the financial future look like for the city?
Larry, that's a good question. Hard to say. We've seen increases in some of our revenue, but the economy overall, the national economy, the state economy is still very uncertain. And I'm glad that we were able to work with the city's various labor unions this year. They gave up some money, and I think it's prudent to go forward that way. We just don't know what's going to happen this coming year.
Okay, Dale, where are we now?
We're in front of Casa Esperanza, the homeless shelter on Cacique Street. And the reason I came here is because homelessness, which is kind of a vague term, that's one of the big problems that the city has faced for quite a while. And I believe that what we've done in the past hasn't worked and we need to change our approach. I'm chairman of the Council Subcommittee on Homelessness, and we are taking a new approach. We're going to talk more about this over at the police department, but one of the things that we've done this year is to actually hire more officers, and one of those officers is going to be what's called a restorative police officer who works directly with the homeless, just focused on the homeless, and with the aid of outreach workers who we've also hired to work with the police. They work to get people off the street and into treatment, whether it's at a homeless shelter or getting them reconnected with their family, wherever their family may be. So the restorative program is very important. The other thing that we're going to do is, as a result of the committee's work, we're going to establish a joint committee of city council and county government elected officials to set policy for the long run on the homeless problem. You've got all kinds of different people. Unfortunately, we have a lot of mentally ill people on the street who should be institutionalized. That's a state level problem that we can't do a lot about, but we can work with the county. The county is responsible for mental health services. There are also things that we can do for other folks to get them off the street and into a better situation. There's a lot of folks out here with serious drug and alcohol addictions. That's how a lot of people end up living under bridges. And it's a problem that we're just going to have to confront in a different way.
Dale, what do you think about this location here on Lower Milpas?
I think, Larry, what we've learned over the years is that this was probably not the best site. The level of crime in the neighborhood has gone up enormously. It's been a burden on the neighborhood, and it's not great for the people who live here either, because frankly, there are a lot of liquor stores around here. So I think in the long run, we're going to have to find a better location for Casa Esperanza.
Okay, go ahead, Dale.
All right, Larry, we're here at the police department on Figueroa Street, and I wanted to talk about something that I'm really most proud of. This year, for the first time in 10 years, the City Council voted to actually increase the number of police officers. We were at 137. That was the police force. The number of officers. We have civilians working for the police department too, of course. We increased it in this year's budget to 141. Now that may sound small, just 4 more officers, but if we keep doing that over the next few years, eventually we'll get back to the strength that I think we need to be. 10 years ago, the police department in Santa Barbara had 150 sworn officers, and we need to get back to that.
Well, what is the difference of having them actually on the street? Does it make a big difference?
It makes a huge difference. When people see police officers on the street, when you have officers who can really be beat cops and know the people in the community, know the business owners, it makes a huge difference. A lot of bad behavior just doesn't happen if there's a police officer around. Larry, one thing I'd like to mention is that in this year's election, the Police Officers Association, the police union, has decided not to endorse me, and I understand that. The police have the hardest job in the city. I couldn't do it, and they're out there putting their lives on the line every day, and I really, really appreciate it, and there's great people working for the police department. But we had to ask for concessions this year at labor negotiations. There was just no way around it. And I know there are some people in the leadership of the Police Officers Association who feel differently about that, but I've looked at the budget and I just think we've got 86% of the police department budget is wages and benefits, and there was simply no way to get to a balanced budget without some concessions, and I'm glad that the Police Officers Association ultimately did come around and help us out this year. Larry, here we are at the Kachuma Operations and Maintenance Board in the hills above San Roque. One of the privileges I have on City Council is representing the city on various regional boards, and this is a really important one. The Kachuma Operations and Maintenance Board, or COAM, is responsible for operating Lake Kachuma, as well as the South Coast Conduit that brings water through the mountains, along the foothills, all the way from Goleta to Carpinteria, supplying 80% roughly of the South Coast's water supply. This is an absolutely vital program that most people don't even know exists. We recently hired, I'm happy to say, I was on the executive search committee, we recently hired a new general manager, Bruce Mowry, who has 30 years of experience in civil engineering, and we really need someone like Bruce because this project is 60 years old and we've got some decaying infrastructure. We're going to have to replace major parts of the South Coast Conduit, and it's great having someone like Bruce on board to help us make the right decisions. Here we are above the city at Franceschi Park.
Dale, tell me, what's it been like serving the last 4 years?
It's been great. This has been one of the most interesting and enjoyable jobs I've ever had. I've lived in Santa Barbara for 30 years, and I care a lot about this city. One of the most beautiful places in the world, no question about it. And we have our problems, like everywhere, but it's been a privilege for me to represent the people of Santa Barbara and to try to understand those problems and come up with good solutions.
Well, very good. Do you want to give any contact information, like a website? Sure,
absolutely. People can go to my website, which is dalefrancisco.com.
Okay, well, good luck to you, Dale.
Thanks, Larry. It's been a pleasure.